does it take to turn a hero into a warning? Not fire. Not fury. Just a whisper in the right silence. And a mirror they can't stop admiring. You celebrate their strength. I study their pride. I don't need to strike. I just wait. Because every hero eventually forgets what made them one. They start believing the applause, needing the spotlight, ignoring the cracks. And when the fall comes, oh, they never see me, but they always feel me. So, you want to know? And how I drag a hero from the heavens to the dirt? Good. Let me walk you through the fall. One step, one weakness, one delicious crack at a time. Number 1. It always starts with a compliment. Before I break them, I build them. This is where the seed is planted. The hero is praised, admired, and subtly convinced they're special. That ego? It's the crack I slip through. Tell me, have you ever been praised so sweetly? Have it made you forget who you were? Not challenged. Not corrected. Just admired. Applauded. Crowned as special? Different. Chosen. That's how it begins. That's how I whisper the first lie. Not with a threat, but with a compliment. You think I come with horns and flames? No. I come with flattery. And it always works. Because your kind craves validation more than truth. You see, I don't have to corrupt a hero with poison. I use perfume. I whisper, you're not like the others. You're destined for more. You're too talented to fail. And they drink it like nectar. Unaware, it's been laced with arrogance. The compliment softens them. It lowers the guard. Because once they start believing the praise, they stop preparing for the fall. They stop doing the work that made them admirable in the first place. Here's the part they never see coming. Praise creates expectation, and expectation kills growth. Because now they feel entitled to admiration without effort, deserving of rewards without resistance. They stop asking, how can I serve? And start demanding, where's my spotlight? And I watch, smiling, because the higher they lift their chin, the easier it is to break their neck. Do you want to know how my favorite compliment? You're a natural. That one ruins people faster than fame. Because once they think it's in their blood, they stop sharpening their edge. They stop learning. They stop listening. They stop evolving. And then, when the world stops clapping, when the audience grows bored, how they crumble. Because they built their identity on applause, outability. And now that it's gone, so are they. Funny, isn't it? A few sweet words can rot a soul faster than 1,000 insults. Now, you might be thinking, that's just one weakness. Oh no, dear listener. Gay, that's just the door. Compliment is the key. Ego is the handle. But what comes next? That's the fun part. Because once they start needing praise, I make sure they never get enough. Ready to hear how I feed that hunger? Until it devours them from the inside? Lean closer. The second trap is always hungrier than the first. Number 2. Then I show them a shortcut. Why struggle when there's an easier way? Once they crave more, I offer convenience. Power without pain. Success without sacrifice. The beginning of their fall. It looks like a faster climb. Tell me, what's more dangerous than a man with talent? A man who believes. Talent means he can skip the line. After I've flattered them into comfort, I offer the next bait. A shortcut. Not because it's faster, but because it's easier to control someone who thinks they've outsmarted the system. You're too good for the basics, I whisper. Why waste time on discipline when you've got potential? And they believe it, because heroes, real or imagined, often mistake momentum for mastery. That's where I slip in the poison, because shortcuts don't just shave time, they shave character. And character, that's what keeps heroes standing when the applause stops. But my path? It promises glory with no grind, success with no sacrifice, results without resistance, and it works every time. They stop learning the craft. They avoid the boring repetitions. They chase hacks, not habits. And while they scroll for secrets and speed, I quietly dismantle their foundation. The shortcut feels good in the moment. It's like a cheat code, but when the real pressure comes, they collapse, because they skip the pain that builds strength, and when the storm arrives, they don't know how to hold the weight. You see, I don't need to break them, I just need them to skip the steps that would have made them unbreakable. And here's the beautiful twist. When they fall, they blame the world. They say, it wasn't fair. They scream, I deserved more. But deep down I know they chose comfort over capacity, and I simply offered them what they secretly wanted, an easy way out. Now, here's where it gets delicious. Once they've tasted that shortcut, once they've taken the bait, they start searching for more. They want overnight success, quick fixes, viral validation. They want the crown, without the crucible. And I'm always there, to offer the next illusion, the next faster path, the next trick that promises results, with none of the resistance. But what happens when the shortcut fails? What happens when the fantasy fades and reality returns? That's when I strike again. Because now, they don't just feel lazy, they feel lost. And you want to know the best way to keep someone lost? Feed them guilt, until they forget how to move. Ready to hear how I use guilt not to punish, but to paralyze? Good. Let's step deeper into the trap. Number 3. They compromise once, and then again. What breaks a hero first? A failure or a favor? The answer is neither. It's the first small compromise they think no one will notice. See? I don't ask them to betray everything at once. That would be too obvious. Too risky. No. I whisper. Just bend. Just a little. And they do. Maybe they skip one hard conversation. Maybe they cheat on one habit. Maybe they tell one small lie to themselves. It's just for now. It's not a big deal. I deserve this. And right there, the fall has begun. Because no hero collapses in one blow. They erode, bit by bit, excuse by excuse. And every time they justify a compromise, I tighten the leash. You'd be amazed how quickly just this once becomes their identity. They stop aiming for excellence and settle for, at least I tried. And when their results don't match their expectations, they blame the world, not the compromise they never saw. It was the small cracks, the ones they ignored, that split their foundation. Do you know what's more powerful than guilt? Familiarity. Because once they've compromised once, they already know the path. It's warm, comfortable, predictable. They don't even need me to lead them anymore. I just nudge, and they slip again, and again, until the compromise becomes character, and character becomes fiction. Now, they're no longer fighting for greatness. They're just managing their own decline. And the scariest part? They still think they're trying. They'll tell themselves, next week I'll be better. They'll buy another course, follow another guru, re-download the planner. But it's not a strategy they're missing. It's integrity, because the one thing that kept them anchored, the refusal to compromise, was the first thing they sold. And I didn't need to take it from them. They handed it over, willingly. Now, the compromise is their compass. And I don't even need to lie anymore. They do it for me. But once they start slipping, really slipping, they feel it. That ache, that shame. And that's when I strike with my favorite weapon of all. Guilt. But not just any guilt. The kind that doesn't correct. The kind that paralyzes. Want to see how I turn guilt into a chain that keeps them crawling in circles? Good. Because the next step down isn't a fall. It's a freeze. Number 4. The fall is silent. Until it isn't. Have you ever heard a soul break? No screams. No crashes. Just silence. Stretched too long. That's how it begins. No one hears the breaking. Until it's too loud to ignore. Their values rot quietly. Their character erodes invisibly. And by the time the world notices, their soul's already mine. You think downfall is dramatic? A scandal? A public collapse? An explosion? No. That's the end. The real fall? It's quiet. Private. Invisible. And by the time anyone hears it, it's already over. It starts in the silence between decisions. In the pause before action. In the sigh after a missed commitment. That's where I slip in. Not with fire, but with fog. They stop doing what they said they'd do. But it's just for today. They stop showing up for themselves. But it's just a rough week. They stop believing in who they were becoming. But they tell themselves, it's just temporary. What they don't realize is, silence stacks. Every skipped promise becomes an echo. Every ignored goal becomes a ghost. And soon, Because they're haunted by the silence they created. And I love that stage. When they look fine to the world. Still dressed like a hero. Still saying the right things. But inside, rot. They laugh, but it's shallow. They scroll, but it's numb. They work, but it's aimless. No one notices. No one suspects. Because the outside hasn't cracked. Yet. But the fall is coming. See? Silence isn't harmless. It builds pressure. It piles up until it can't stay quiet anymore. And then, boom! A breakdown. A burnout. A decision that costs them everything. And the world gasps. How did that happen? But I know. I was there in every quiet compromise. Every fake smile. Every late night is filled with noise instead of purpose. I was the one who kept them company in silence. And when their life finally collapses, I'm not surprised. I'm satisfied. Because it was never about the big failure. It was about the little silence they ignored. Until it screamed. And now they're in pieces. Looking for someone to blame. But the real tragedy? They still don't realize. They helped me build their ruin. One quiet choice at a time. Now I could stop here. Let them drown in the aftermath. But why stop now? When they're finally ready for the one lie that seals it all? Ready for the final twist? Then come closer, because the last stage of the fall is who they become after it. Number 5. Now they preach what they once fought. The final form of corruption isn't silence. It's influence. They don't just fall. They lead others into the same fire. They swore to fight. The hero becomes the villain, and pretends it was always that way. That's my masterpiece. They don't even know they've switched sides. They think they're helping. They think they're teaching. But what they're really doing is justifying the fall they never recovered from. They used to fight me. Stand tall. Speak the truth. Burn with purpose. And bleed for integrity. Now, they sell shortcuts. They package excuses as self-love. They call their numbness peace. They call their mediocrity balance. They put a price tag on comfort and call it wisdom. You see, when people fall and don't rise, they still need to feel important. So they wrap their failure in language. It sounds noble. And they teach others how to fall, just like them, but politely, with soft words and soothing lies. Don't push too hard. Do what feels right. You're already enough. Sound familiar? It should. It's my sermon, delivered by your former heroes. And the world claps. The comments flood in. So real. So healing. So brave. But here's the truth. They stopped climbing. So they burned the mountain. And now they build followers. Not leaders. Echo chambers. Not warriors. Because if they can't rise, they'll make sure no one else tries. And that's when I win the long game. not when I break them. But when they start defending their chains, now you might ask, is it too late for them? For me? For anyone who fell and stayed down? Not yet, because you're still listening. So here's the truth you don't want, but absolutely need. Redemption isn't branded. Comebacks aren't comfortable. Healing doesn't sound like applause. It sounds like silence. It looks like discipline. It feels like walking alone, uphill, without posting about it. Do you want to change? Then stop preaching and start practicing. Don't sell the soft path. Walk the hard one. Don't soothe your failure. Stand up in the storm and earn your fire again. Because if you don't, I'll hand you a script, dress you up in inspiration, and let you spend the rest of your life calling failure freedom. So, what will it be? Will you keep spreading my gospel in prettier words? Or finally shut up? Or I show up and reclaim what you lost? I'll be watching, waiting, because I know how easy it is to preach what you once fought.